All right, Anthony on Air podcast back for another episode, and we are talking about Bill Gates and Mike Larson's culture of fear. Just breaking shortly before our podcast here. Bill Gates, not a great guy as we're learning, not a great situation, and we have more on that for you on this episode. Plus a quick update on Ghislaine Maxwell. Guy Fieri signed a big fat new contract with the Food Network. This vaccination smear campaign is pretty interesting. We'll share that with you. Plus the origins of COVID. Ellen has a replacement, and it doesn't matter anyway because the bees are taking over. We have video footage we will share with you on why we will all eventually be under the control of bees. You can't see her, but you can hear her. Cuddles joins us on this episode. What up, Cuddles?
Hey, how's everyone doing? Say hello.
Just like the ending of Jeffrey Epstein, Frankie C. and J-Sab's whereabouts are a mystery. We just don't know what's going on. It does happen. It does tend to happen that way. All right, let's hop right into Bill Gates and Michael Larson. So if you're new to this, Michael Larson is the guy who runs Cascade Investments, which is the investment arm of the Bill and Melinda Gates empire. So this is what they've been using to beef up all the money that they've been pouring in and out of the foundation. This Michael Larson basically has been controlling all of their assets. They named it Cascade because they thought it was the most inconspicuous, generic-y sounding thing. They didn't want people to be like, oh, Bill Gates bought this and Bill Gates bought that. So that's why they've been going under the name Cascade for years and years and years. We did a whole podcast on this where we uncovered the depths of Cascade and what they own and how they've made their money. We'll put links in the description on the YouTube channel for those of you that are watching over there. And make sure you hit the thumbs up there or Facebook. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, rate and review. And you can follow us now on Spotify. So they did an investigation, as we talked about on that episode. They did an investigation on Michael Larson on whether or not, because there were some allegations. One of their investments had, made an allegation against him that he wasn't nice. Now the story that he had created this culture of fear at Cascade Investments. And this is what they're saying. Coworkers, people who work at the company, are claiming he has made racist remarks, showed nude pictures of women to his staff. He's made sexist comments. And again, I mentioned a second ago, the allegations. This is supposedly part of what had happened, like part of the whole genesis of he's friends with Epstein.
Yeah.
He's got this guy, kind of is this like little schism. Melinda Gates, very big on female empowerment. This first allegation comes up. They do an investigation. It doesn't really go anywhere. Melinda asks for further investigation, but they start the divorce process, so it never really finishes. Anyway, the New York Times did a huge investigation on this, and they interviewed numerous former Cascade employees reporting that Larson had, quote, judged female employees on their attractiveness, showed colleagues nude photos of women on the internet, and on several occasions made sexually inappropriate comments. He made racist remarks to black employees. He bullied others. When an employee said she was leaving Cascade, Mr. Larson retaliated by trying to hurt the stock price of the company she planned to join.
What is wrong with people? What is wrong with, really? Come on now.
What kind of insane, psychotic asshole do you have to be to tank a company's stock price just to get back at an employee that's leaving?
Like someone who has low self-esteem and is a narcissist who has issues. This is like Melinda's going to take them all down. I'm telling you, give her a little bit of time. Stuff's going to start coming out, and it's going to be because of Melinda. Pigs. In
an odd way, all the conspiracy theory people that hated the Gateses up until this point have hated both of them. And now it kind of seems like Melinda may be the only hope at blowing the whole lid off of this whole entire thing and getting down to the bottom of whatever the truth is with this organization and Gates and And again, there's been some rumblings about Gates himself and the way he treats women. We talked about that one report that was that said that he always kind of made it a point to overpower Melinda in meetings.
He looks like a creeper.
Well, yeah, he does look like a creeper.
He gives you that that feeling.
Especially now, I feel like in the last 4 weeks more than ever, you kind of have that feeling because of all this shit that's coming out.
Because people have felt that way, that he's like creepy, but you're like, oh, he donates a lot of money. He's trying to do all this good. So you kind of like that goes to the back. But now that you know that he might not be such a good person and he's got a lot coming out about him, now you're disgusting. You are like, you're slowly inching up to Epstein. You're slowly getting there, creeper.
Well, he's done a lot of, I clearly can't drink, spill water all over myself. He's slowly, he's done some good is the thing. But again, as I've been saying, it's not mutually exclusive. You can do good things and still do really bad things. It doesn't have to be, one or the other.
Yeah, you have to watch out sometimes for those people like him because they do bad things so they feel like it's okay because they do good things elsewhere. It's like he is like a guilty conscience.
But here's what really bothers me about this. There are a lot of, I've worked for companies that struggled and it's not a great environment to be in. Yeah. Right. Like, they're worried about making payroll in some instances. Bad things happen amongst employees that cause domino effects. And, we've kind of been across the gamut of organizations. I work for good organizations and worked for some that was it was really kind of touch and go there. You're working for one of the wealthiest people on the planet. You know what I'm saying? Like, in this place, you have the opportunity to create a culture that is the absolute best work environment culture on the planet. You know what I'm saying? Like from top to bottom, you can have the best human resource people so that things like this don't, poison your staff. You don't have a bad person, in the organization ruining it for everybody else. Down to all the way, you can have the nicest chairs and computers and desks and break time and, unlimited vacations is such a popular thing. You know what I'm saying? Like this should be the best place to work for.
And that's the sad thing is because the foundation and everything are trying to do such good for the world and help these people. But the people that are working for the foundation, for these companies, are treated horrible.
Yeah.
And they're abused. It's disgusting.
It
really is.
You have $50 billion and your only job is to basically not lose. You know what $50 billion compound interest wise does? This is why this guy's never been knocked off the list, because that money just keeps on making more money. You know that you could literally do nothing with that money. Nothing. And still make a ton of money off of it. So why would this guy create this sort of a culture and feeling, right, amongst the workplace, and then Bill Gates support him? It's crazy. It is crazy. I'm sure everybody watching, listening can if you had endless amounts of money, this is what people in shitty jobs dream about all the time. Like, if I was the boss and we had all this money, I would do things so much different. I would have, great snack. You could have shrimp cocktail 4:00 every day. It could be shrimp cocktail hour. You know what I'm saying? Like, it could be the greatest situation ever. To be fair, in a statement to the newspaper, a spokesman for Cascade said, and I quote, "During his tenure, Mr. Larson has managed over 380 people, and there have been fewer than 5 complaints related to him in total. Any complaint was investigated and treated seriously and fully examined, and none merited Mr. Larson's dismissal." Larson told The Times, "Calling BMGI a toxic work environment is unfair to the 160 professionals who make up our team and our culture." Courtney Wade, a spokeswoman for Melinda French Gates said, quote, Melinda unequivocally condemns disrespectful and inappropriate conduct in the workplace. She was unaware of most of these allegations given her lack of ownership of and control over BMGI. So she's saying that she didn't know anything, but previous reports were that there was an investigation done, and she called for a further investigation after the allegation with the bike shop girl, the bike company, was settled. She wasn't happy with them just settling out of court. She wanted to know what was going on.
Yeah.
Goes the story the first time around. So what account is really true, I'm not entirely sure.
That's crazy. I'm sorry. So just because it was 5 complaints, like after one, it should end.
Yeah.
Not get to 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 5 too many. It's like, when does it stop then?
Yeah. Again, fine.
So now wait, if they weren't divorcing and all of this wasn't happening, would it have kept going? Would this never have been investigated even further? Like 5 could have turned into 15, 20.
True.
Like,
good point. Good point.
I give up on people.
Yeah, it's a good point. Yeah, 5 is too. That's a great. 5 is too many because again, I feel like in workplaces when their stress is high, that's the time where bosses lose their cool. Maybe they'll yell at somebody. Tensions are running high, but when you shouldn't have that whatsoever at all. Like the only complaint against a boss at this place should be like, he always had delicious lollipops on his desk. The candy selection was insane, and I gained too much weight while I was there. Those should be the type of complaint. It should be fucking Willy Wonka's factory. They should be like, we drank the fizzy pop and we couldn't come down for 20 minutes, but we had a blast. That should be the complaints that they get at this place.
Yeah. Like, not enough variety of like cream cheese for the bagels every morning. Something like that. Not someone getting called a racial slur or a sexual harassment. Like those aren't, no.
By the way, I've been meaning to tell you that I'm a little unhappy with the variety of cream cheese that we have at the house.
I don't care.
I'd like us to step that up a bit if we can. Be great.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I'll be calling the New York Times on your attitude.
Okay. Give them my number. Let's get a box. Let's get a complaint box for the house.
Well, let's do that.
And just like you remember in The Office how they read those complaints, we'll do that. We'll have a meeting once a week.
No, that's a bad idea because I feel like between you and the 2 kids, there might be too many complaints against me. So let's hold off on the complaint box.
Well, then now is the best time because our son's just learning how to write, and our daughter can't decide if she's a lefty or a righty. So we're good.
All right, Ghislaine update. So typical BS from Ghislaine. She's seeking to dismiss the new indictment. She's citing that prosecutors are overreaching. She filed a complaint on Tuesday in federal court saying that they're out to, quote unquote, get her. Again, she's made similar allegations of, she's become the fall person for Epstein and blah, 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 so on and so forth. It's not a great, it's not a revolutionary update, but again, she just continues to seem to throw everything she possibly can up against the wall to see if it sticks. Part B of this is we discussed that there were 3 productions already going for documentaries of Ghislaine Maxwell. You could add that to 4 now because Peacock, home of The Office, has announced a new original documentary called Epstein's Shadow, Ghislaine Maxwell, where they interview a bunch of people who knew Ghislaine and sort of give the background on her and how she came to be with Jeffrey. They kind of position it in the trailer that she was the one who knew a lot of celebrities and show businessy type people, and that's how he was able to kind of get his grips into that sort of end of society, that he was sort of this money guy and the celebs and everything kind of came from
Yeah.
her
So
end.
she was the buffer between, like, the liaison between.
Basically, yeah. And there's a shot that I hadn't seen before of Ghislaine Naomi Watts. I might have seen it once before. It's Ghislaine Naomi Watts, Trump, and Melania. And the reason why it kind of stands out in the documentary trailer is because all we really see of Trump and Epstein is that
One
1990
photo.
whatever,
Yeah.
yeah, down at Mar-a-Lago from like a billion years ago. That was pre Melania. So the fact that that relationship kept going, although I shouldn't really say that because it was a shot. Who knows if there was a relationship? Like they could have just ran into
Yeah.
each other at a party, taking that picture, and it is what it is. But I don't know. Maybe it was really, maybe they were continuing to talk. Who really knows? But that is one of the things that hopped out in this new documentary. Now, I will say this must have been in the work for a little while because it's going to premiere June 24th. Today's May 26th, so about a month away from this hitting
Yeah.
Peacock. And I think it's free to watch. Like, I think there's a free level of Peacock where you got to watch commercials. But other than that, I think everybody's going to have access to this, even if you don't pay for Peacock or have it as of
Yeah.
right now.
It sounds interesting.
Yeah. I'm going to watch Pretzel Day right before this because that
Yeah.
always puts me in a good, or maybe after, to kind of take me out of the gross feeling of watching this piece of shit.
That bitch.
Yeah. But on Pretzel Day, well, I like Pretzel Day. Stanley the Manly. All right,
Yeah.
Guy Fieri. Speaking of man, did you see Guy Fieri's new contract?
No, I didn't.
Do you want to take a stab at what the Food Network is forking over to him on a new 3-year deal?
I'm gonna go about like 60 to 65 million.
$80 million.
No way. That. Oh my God. Are you serious?
Flavortown just got a bit more expensive, let me tell you.
What?
$80
Maybe
million.
now he'll go get the tips of his hair done professionally.
They're going to get even more platinum.
They're
More
gonna go.
platinum-y.
I cannot believe they're shelling out that kind of money.
$80 million. Diners, drive-ins, and dives and Guy's grocery games are basically the only two things that he does anymore. They really don't do those. Remember when the Food Network used to do all those like awesome, like, here's the best steak place, or here's where you can get the best poutine, and there would be like 20 Food Network stars all talking head style.
Oh, yeah, it was like
The best
where
dish?
do you want to know where your favorite chefs go to eat? Where we like to eat?
Yes.
I love those. I actually liked.
Those are great.
Those were really, really good.
Yeah. This is when the Food Network still talked about food before it turned into the Game Show Network or the Travel Channel.
You know me, I loved the Food Network. And I liked, you and I went on a diners, drive-ins, and dives, like, road trip.
I wish you wouldn't have said that, but yes, this is true.
Be quiet.
We did buy the book and plan a trip all based around.
No. You didn't buy the book. I bought the book. It was
You
my
bought the
book.
book.
Those were my books, okay?
And that was a while ago. And to defend ourselves from the kids out
10
there on the
years.
internet, this was pre-food craze on the internet.
This was like 11 years ago, 12 years ago.
Was Instagram even around?
No.
It was pre-Instagram.
No. And it was like the beginning of the beginning of Facebook when it just stopped being a college thing.
You're right. Wow. You're right.
Like,
You're right. You know what? You're
beginning.
right. So this
I
is
know,
really,
right?
really pre-food internet.
Yeah. Yes.
This is, yeah, this is, I wonder if this was even before Yelp.
Probably. It's at least like 11, 12 years. At least.
I just remember, gather around, kids. I want to tell a story to all the youngins out there. Back in the day, we used to have to read books to find out where to go when we were going somewhere else.
Mm-hmm. And we had a map quest that literally put the addresses in and print it out.
That's right. Oh my God.
Okay? Print. Do you remember? And it would be like, it'll take you an hour and 25 minutes to get there.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And we had to plot it because we didn't know where we were going. So we were like, should we go here? Should we stay there? Should we hit this place first?
Yeah.
There's a lot of planning that went into that Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives trip.
I did.
But that was fun as hell. But at least it wasn't like when we used to take road trips with like my father, when he would break out the huge unfolding map and have to like circle everything.
He still breaks that out. And we're in the day and age of technology, and he's still whipping it out. And your son loves maps and loves all that stuff too.
But you're right. This is
fall far from the tree.
This is when the print the map out days, which is now just frankly unheard of.
Yeah.
That anybody would print out directions.
I know. I just hook up my phone in the truck.
Yeah.
And it tells me what to do. And my watch vibrates. My Apple Watch vibrates to let me know when stuff's coming up.
Like when a turn is coming up. Insane.
Yeah, it vibrates.
Insane. To credit, you were just teasing about my father. He literally does. My father's up there in age. He'll use the map. He'll use the Apple maps too. But he still studies it way in advance like he used to when he would break out the old folding maps back in the day.
Yes, and he goes to the AAA store.
Yeah,
like the place to get. God, I love that man.
But again, not to sound like I have an AARP card in my pocket, which is nothing wrong with that. But I'm just saying, there was something. I feel like an old like audiophile. Like there's something about records. They're just so much better, which is true because you bought it, you saved up for it, you would stare at it. It was physical. You know, you had a more personal relationship with the music. I love being able to take a billion songs with me now anywhere I go. That's so much better. But there was something, the relationship was different back in the day. And the same holds true with this, where there was something to watching the show on TV, being like, oh my God, that looks so good. Then being able to buy the book with all like the secrets in it. Like,
yes,
because there was no other way to ascertain that information. And then make the plans, do the driving and everything. Like there was something to it. So like when you got there, you were like,
I have a list. I still have the list. Years later, it's in my phone.
Do you still have the list?
I still have. Do you remember the place that made their own raviolis?
Oh, we never went there though.
No, we didn't. Is it in Boston?
It was in Boston.
Right? I swear to you, I still have like a whole list of places that I want to go in like Texas, like down south. I still wish to go. Maybe.
I still dream about that Boston rap. This place was on Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives. They put like 1.5 pounds of lobster into their lobster ravioli that they make fresh every single day. It looked amazing. It really looked amazing. But we went to Connecticut. We went to a hot dog place, I remember. Everything was good. Yeah.
No, everything really was good. I thought it was.
But it's fun. You know what's weird about now? I feel like no matter where you go, upstate New York, Delaware, Montana, like it doesn't matter. Because of Yelp and because of Instagram, you can find like there's a great foodie place everywhere, no matter where you go. You don't have to seek it out that much anymore because a 5-minute search on Yelp or Instagram and you'll find it, you know.
Yep.
It's not hard anymore.
It's made it really easy, and you can like go right to Yelp, put where you're going and what you want.
Yeah.
And it'll give you like everything.
Also,
even if it's on the menu and it's not like if you're looking for something specific, if it's on the menu, it's out like you can get really specific, and I love that.
I also feel like it's to the detriment of like New York City and Philadelphia, whatever, like these food, like, cause I remember growing up, we used to be like, you never wanted to leave New York because what were you going to eat? Like the idea of going somewhere else and not having pizza or Chinese food that we have, I mean, the classic, my cousin Vinny line, how's your Chinese food?
Exactly. Exactly.
We were terrified. But now I feel like there's great food friggin' everywhere.
Yeah, there are. I would love to do something.
Starving. I'm not even mad about the fact that Guy Fieri's making $80 million in 3 years.
I know. And he still wears those flip-flops.
But here's the thing. You know what I always hated about Guy Fieri? And you know what's funny? His restaurants always got slammed. Like, he's never gotten a great review on a restaurant.
Is it just his personality that everyone likes?
I don't know. But they love him. That's the thing. And people will shit on him and take shots at him. And Bourdain, who I love more than anything, always loved to poke fun at the Food Network people and hated that whole scene. But I still, like, Guy Fieri is loved. He's you know, by the way, did a lot of work to keep the restaurants going throughout the pandemic.
Yes, he did.
Like, did a lot. And here's the classic, don't hate the player, hate the game. They're going to pay him $80 million for 3 years. Can you guess how much Food Network has generated from Guy Fieri in 2020 alone?
Oh, it's probably more. Is it like 100 million? Like, they made more money than they're going to pay him?
Take a guess. Well, that would be good business. Yeah, take a guess.
Well, they have other things. He's not the only one. Like 125 mil.
125 million?
Yeah.
I would say that's a good guess. That's a fair guess.
How much really is it?
$230 million.
Jesus Christ.
So 80 million over 3 years. He's kind of underpaid.
Yeah.
He's getting screwed.
I would be pissed.
I
would be pretty pissed.
Guy Fieri actually has a shitty agent, you know?
Yeah, I would be his manager, agent, whoever I'd be pissed at them too.
Yeah. Yeah. And the weird thing is, like, if you know that, like, if you're Guy Fieri and you know that, why would you give your brand to Food Network? You could do diners, drive-ins, and dives on your own and put it on YouTube or sell it to some other network if you really needed to. But literally, you could put it on YouTube, control it yourself, sell your own ads, and make all that money yourself.
Is it just easier, like, to have them do all that and him just get paid? And it's just, you know, they're a fine-tuned, you know, machine that knows what they're doing. It's just easier that way.
Oh, boy, is it. Take it from somebody who knows what it's like to run all facets of one of these fucking things. Yeah, it's a lot easier to show up on set and be like, what am I eating? Okay, I'll take a bite. Flavor Town. And go home.
So now you know why.
Yeah, you're probably right. It's worth passing up on 100 and what's the difference between 80 million and 230? It's worth leaving $150 million on the table for. That's for damn sure. All right. That is for damn sure. So congrats to Guy Fieri, and can I also mention that we could use a loan over here at anthonyonair.com.
Yeah, Mama wants to go on vacation.
Yeah. You owe us for buying your book 25 years ago.
Plural.
That's right. When the second one came out, we were like,
no, I had like 3 of them.
That's true. There was volumes upon volumes. But it lost its fire after a while. Don't you feel like after a while, like you're kind of like scraping the bottom of the barrel a bit with some of these places?
Yeah. And then they were going back to places to like see how, like update, like see how they are.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, you're doing bad, aren't you?
Also, not to throw the fraud charge around, but did we ever see him go into a drive-in? Because I'm not 100% sure that ever actually happened. And it's supposed to be a third of the show. Just saying.
No, I don't remember.
You're going to get the hard-hitting news here on the Anthony on Air podcast. That's for sure. That's for sure.
Aren't you lucky? Aren't all of you lucky?
Mm-hmm. There's a vaccine smear campaign going on. I found this to be pretty interesting of a story. So a couple of social media influencers have come out and said that a marketing agency, this is in France, by the way, social media influencers in France with hundreds of thousands of followers said a mysterious advertising agency offered to pay them if they agreed to smear Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccine with negative fake stories. French YouTuber Leo Grasset was among those contacted. He said that he was offered a potentially lucrative but also hush-hush deal to make bogus claims that the Pfizer vaccine poses a deadly risk and that regulators and mainstream media are covering up the supposed dangers. Grasset, who has 1.1 million subscribers on YouTube, says he refused. Other French-based influencers with sizable audiences on Twitter, Instagram, and other platforms also said they were contacted with similar offers of payment for posts. Kind of crazy, no?
Yes. But have they put any proof forward? Because not for nothing, a lot of these like influencers that are on social media, I don't believe them. After that fire, you remember that? What was that thing that we watched?
Firefest?
Yeah, after
Fest?
Firefest, it's like, I don't believe you. Like, show me the proof.
Yeah.
Show me what you got, and then we'll talk.
Yeah, people don't talk about it. That's a great point. Firefest was a real down moment for social media and for influencers, like a real down moment.
Yeah, that's why I don't believe a lot of them. So show me your proof, or I ain't believing.
And that was like everybody. Remember, like every huge Instagrammer changed their profile picture.
I'm sorry, they lost so much credibility.
Yeah, that's why. Again, we talk about this, and I always say that we got our integrity through the radio because you had to be trustworthy, or else the audience would abandon you. If you were talking about a good restaurant or a great bar or a product and it didn't work and it wasn't good and you were misrepresenting, you lost audience for that. And so this kind of thing gets built up and instilled inside of you, from years and years of radio. But social media people they don't really have that. A lot of them kind of exploded and they're making their mistakes with millions of people watching. Whereas, radio guys who grinding like I did, like Frank did, with tiny audiences, and you grind, you build it up yourself. It becomes so important to you. You don't want to lose it. So you don't back anything that you don't believe in. But some of these social media people, they'll just take any kind of money.
Yeah. I stopped following a lot of like social media, like influencers, bloggers, not even like people that would have been interested in the fire thing. Just like, they just didn't seem authentic anymore, and they didn't seem like real, and it just got to be, and I'm just like, I'm over it.
I've had that, like I've talked to, like I remember, I won't say names, but there was this one, and I remember, like I had a meeting with her, and she's like, oh, I'm a social media influencer, and I was like, oh, what do you do? And she's like, I'm a social media influencer, and I was like, no, I get it, but like what? Like we do a podcast, we do a radio show, we do the podcast, like we have a product, like the show is the product. What are you offering to people? And she's like, I'll go take pictures of places. I'm like, so people are just,
oh God.
And I said to her, I go, if people stopped paying you for exposure to your audience, which I didn't really know if she built legitimately or not, I'm like, what would you do? Where would you go? It's like nobody's paying you to wear a dress that week or go have tea someplace. What is your... And she's like, I'll just snap some pictures. And I'm just kind of like, call me biased. So that there's got to be a hook. And I'm not saying it has to be a podcast, but being able to draw or fix stuff or DIY backyard or whatever, like that to me is somebody that is worth following. I just take pictures at places. You're going to lose people after a little while. Kind of like you said. One day, my wife came to me. She goes, I just stopped following all the people I follow on Instagram. It's like, I can't take it anymore.
Yeah, I just stopped.
I started following the girl from Jersey Shore. Who's the one who was dating the Ronnie guy? I forget what her name is.
Sam?
No, the other one he had the kid with.
Jen?
That's it. Okay. I forgot why I followed her in the beginning. It was something that was going on the show. And then I just never stopped following her. And now I literally follow her to get angry because she pumps these products that I know she doesn't give a shit about. Yeah. And the other day was the worst one ever. She was like, oh, I'm playing this game. And then like she was like, they were showing her play, and then she was horrible at the game. And she's like, I love this game. I play for hours. And it was literally one story clip. God knows how much she got paid for it. And like, I don't even know if it's working for these companies.
So annoying.
Yeah, it's so strange. But anyway, I mean, it just goes to show you that, I try and explain this to people. Social media is so dangerous because negativity spreads there faster than anything else. A positive story will die on the vine, but a negative story will just fly. And that's why, like, the QAnon guy, it's the same thing. Like, when you get that audience, you sometimes are so desperate to keep them, you got to just keep perpetuating this bullshit. And that's what a lot of these people tend to do, and
fake. It's just fake.
It's fake.
100% fake.
But there's
and
something.
then you got to keep going. You have to keep being fake and like showing this perfectness, and it's like, no.
Yeah, we call it feeding the beast. You get this beast, and then you gotta feed the beast, and it's terrible for girls too, because what happens, and this happened a lot on Instagram and TikTok, the same thing. Girl shows her hooties and shakes her rear end and gets 1,000 likes and 100 followers every time she does it, and then she gets sick of like showing her body off and tries to do something else and gets nothing. And then like that depression sets in of like, oh, what am I doing wrong, and blah blah blah, and then she just starts posting the hootie wiggle shake shots again, and then that's it. Before you know it, that's all she is to everybody.
I know.
And that's a shitty place to be.
Yes. 100%.
That's why I stopped showing my rear end on social media. Because
that's not the reason.
I'm more than
don't.
Just a sweet tush. A lot of speculation that this was like other vaccine companies. I doubt it, because if one's bad, they're all bad. I don't think they would take each other down like that. This is coming from God knows where, if it was even real at all. I mean, who really knows? But people are so desperate to believe these stories. People telling you all the time, did you hear about this in the vaccine? Did you hear about that in the vaccine? And it's like...
Yeah. But why do you think that? Why are we so thirsty for this crap?
I don't... we love negativity. It's the reason why we slow down on the highway to look at an accident. There's something about... It's the reason why...
loves company?
Yeah, it's a little bit of that. It's the reason why we go on,
a bit of everything.
I love that. It's the reason why we go on roller coasters, right? We want to feel that
high
fear of death but safely, jumping out of airplanes. It's all connected in the same thing. It's why we go to the movies and watch the movies about aliens coming and destroying the entire planet, right? Like you love to see it. It's like
prepared.
It's a safe way to it's just like a safe way to experience all that stuff in a weird, odd way. I don't know.
Is that why we love like zombie movies and stuff?
Yeah.
So that we know what not to do.
Yeah. Completely.
That's not true.
The origins of COVID-19 has become quite the topic of conversation over the last couple of days. And I'm surprised. This kind of caught me off guard, because I remember them saying it came from a bat and a wet market, and somebody ate the bat, and that's what started this. And then there was the Wuhan lab, and it could have broken out from there. And then at some point, and I feel like I must have missed this, because I remember like those early conversations and just saying to myself, it's going to be years until we really figure out and get right down to the bottom of what exactly happened. You go to every major historical event, they're still uncovering shit that we never figured out before. You know, like it was only like a couple of years ago where they figured out that the car that Kennedy was driving in wasn't the standard model, that it was different, which put him at a different angle, which kind of explained, all this. So look, they're always uncovering stuff, when it comes to these things. So I was like, whatever, who cares where it came from? Because we're not going to know for a long time. It's not, we're lucky we got a vaccine this quick. It's just going to take a long time to realize.
Yeah. And I think it's important to know where it came from so we can make sure that it never happens
Super
again.
important. Yeah, of course.
But I will be very, very happy when I don't have to hear the word COVID on a day, every like 15 seconds.
But I guess
very happy. I'm so tired of it.
I guess at some point, and I feel like I might have missed this in I'm going to ignore the origin story until we kind of have some time. I guess at some point, the Trump administration was kind of saying like, hey, maybe it was the lab, and they started investigating it. And I guess there was a huge backlash from all kinds of people, including Fauci, who was like, he was kind of more on it jumped from an animal side.
Yeah.
But they've never been able to find an animal that's got it.
Yeah. And then I'm almost positive yesterday I had read somewhere that like 2 scientists from that lab had gone to the hospital sick in November of 2019.
Well, that's the news story. And Wall Street, not the Wall Street Journal, Washington Post or Wall Street Journal or somebody, and then it was confirmed it was 3 scientists from the lab.
Ooh.
Had shown symptoms and have gone to the hospital prior to everything kind of breaking loose.
Then could it have been like that? Like they were sick, they came out, and then that's how it...
Well, it could have and it couldn't have been, because if you look at it, it's the same sort of symptoms as the flu, right? So
yeah, but wasn't it... Didn't like Cuomo say that it was in New York before 2020? Like the first cases were like December.
What had happened is they discovered in people who donated blood.
Yeah.
Like they went back and analyzed blood that was donated prior to March, and they found it in the blood. They found traces of the antibodies, I guess, in the blood. So it had been here before the shutdown for sure. We know that. But this is going back to December, November of 2019. These 3 scientists sort of came down with it. And then there was this extreme backlash against the Trump administration for saying that it could have come from the lab, which I don't understand. Maybe you can explain this to me, but I have a feeling you can't. What does it's not that it doesn't matter. It's important that we find out what happened.
Yes.
But how are we taking sides? Like who's like, oh, that's impossible. Are you crazy? Like, let the investigators investigate it. Let them figure it out. What difference?
Because what are you trying to hide? If you're trying to stop an investigation, or you're like, oh, we shouldn't do that, like that, what are you hiding?
Well, so here's the thing. Okay, so here's a couple of things to note. Now, they were criticizing the shit out of Biden because Biden shut down a State Department investigation. So that story came out, everybody lost their shit. The story evolves in that, yes, he did stop that because Barr and the Trump administration started it, but he also reached out to other parts of the government to do their investigation. In fact, the headline is Biden orders spy agencies to review whether COVID-19 came from Wuhan lab, which I will say is pretty much the first utter failure of said spy agencies that they know.
Why would you say that?
How would we know that, But it's not just the spy agencies. I forget what another part of the government, national security, whatever it was. He just switched it over to something else. But here's the interesting tidbits on it. Fauci and the United States of America gave money to this lab in Wuhan. So people are going to be like, oh, the scandal, and this is where a lot of the crazy conspiracy theories are born from. And according to Fauci, now this is where Rand Paul and Fauci, they're getting into it. So I'll give you this is what everybody knows. These are the facts right now as we know. According to Fauci, they gave $100,000 over a number of years, which totaled to like around $600,000. Now, Rand Paul said it was slightly more than that. Before people get up in arms, we give a lot of money to a lot of different things all
Yeah.
across the world. It's not an uncommon thing.
Yeah, of course.
To be throwing some money around. But Rand Paul's point is, if Fauci and his, organization gave the money, they should be recused from investigating whether or not it came from the lab. Makes sense to me.
Yes, it does.
I'll yield to that. Let somebody else do the investigating. But the thing is here's where I disagree with Rand Paul. He's saying that Fauci would be culpable in, if it's found out that it was leaked from the lab. And, that I kind of disagree with, because it's like you're giving tons of money all over the place. And and this is what we really need to find out. So before people are like, oh, you're defending Fauci. According to Fauci, and Rand Paul hasn't denied this, although he says, I just want to find out. I forget, they call it something of gain, meaning they gave the money to them because they were doing research not to take these diseases and put them into people. So if you're doing that sort of work, you are not getting money from the United States of America. What the governments were trying to do, and this is over a number of years, what they're trying to do is research on these viruses. What are they made up of? How could we stop them? How could we cure them? Is there, it's just like cancer research. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
But where the conspiracy theorists, people are going to lie, and you can't really quite argue with them, is you're giving money to a lab in another country. How much, you better I feel like now this is like after 9/11, when it's like, guess what? The cockpit door's closed no matter what. It doesn't matter. You'd have a massacre in the back of that plane. That door's not opening. We learned that lesson on that day, and we've never walked back from that. I feel like this is the same thing, where if we're putting money out to people, we better damn sure be able to inspect on a weekly basis, who knows what, that they're not doing something funky with what they're testing, and that they're testing in preventative ways to make sure they know about the virus so they could stop a virus.
Yeah.
And not experimenting with a biological weapon, for lack of a better term.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. 100%.
So Rand Paul, it was an interview that was very well done on Fox, and he was, the guy who was interviewing him said, are you accusing him, Fauci, of all? He said, no, I'm not. He said, but I'm saying we have to find out, what's what, and Fauci shouldn't be a part of any sort of investigation, because Fauci, like a year ago, was like, I don't know, we don't have any evidence saying that it came out of this lab, so we have to assume it jumped from an animal. But now Fauci is on the same side. And by the way, Fauci, scientist, here's what drives me crazy about that. Stop Monday morning quarterbacking these people. Their ideas and thoughts changed as the data and information changed.
Yeah.
They want to keep throwing the Fauci said not to wear masks thing, but that was at a different time before they knew, how this stuff really got spread around. By the way, now, the story now is people are saying stop with the theater of cleaning stuff. Stop wiping things down, the Lysol sprays and the wipes and everything, because the odds of getting it that way now we're learning are so minimal.
Yeah, our house was so clean at that time.
Remember, we were wiping everything down in the beginning. I can remember.
But it's like a year and a half now. What's taken them so long? A year and a half you've had to start to figure out things. It should have been not that we're waiting a year and a half to find out how it got out or how it came about.
But now
it's out. But now year and a half? Really?
It kind of it takes a while. By the way, Spanish flu was around for 2 or 3 years before they figured
out where it came from and everything,
or how to handle it, or any of that stuff.
Yeah, that was 100 years ago.
It was 100 years ago.
We're putting things in, we're putting people. We got Elon Musk making electric cars and sending people onto other planets and stuff. This is look, different time now.
I get what you're saying, and this is going to be an unpopular sentiment, but I'm going to say it anyway. we're going to look back at it, and it's hard to take this because we've all just gone through it. But we're going to look back on this years from now and go from shutdown to vaccination. That was pretty damn quick. We actually did a pretty good job getting it done pretty damn quick. Now here on Long Island, over 70% of the population 18 and over are vaccinated on Long Island. Now our numbers on Long Island are better than the country's national average, but that just goes to show you that the anti-vax people are kind of not really 50% of the country.
No, I don't.
And I think that number is going to continue to grow. What was that?
Whoever said that they're 50% of the country is like crazy.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, with all they're trying to incentivize people to get it and all these, like, some people might be turned like, now they want to give kids a lottery to send kids to college and tuition and everything.
People are just waiting for a better deal.
Yeah, exactly. Hold out soon. Who knows what they get? You could be you could get a car out of it.
Yeah.
Wait.
But I don't think, at the end of the day, I don't think it really matters too much about how it got out, in the sense that it only really matters that we just kind of know so it doesn't happen again.
Exactly. To be, preventative. We don't want something like this to ever happen again.
And I do also think that either way, there has to be some sort of responsibility. And I've said this before, from China on, like, it originated from that country, whether it came from a bat or a lab. Certainly feels worse that a lab is sort of man-made and a man-made mistake. You know what I mean? But either way, there should be some form of responsibility to the global community. What that is, I don't know, but there should be something there. I mean, they've got to feel bad. All right.
Look at Italy. Look what happened there.
And I also think that this fear of, like, this rise of, like, Asian hate, and I know there's probably some truth to that, but I would hope that any sane individual will realize that what the Chinese government is responsible for has nothing to do with everyday Chinese and Asian people that are living here in our country, in our communities. Like, there should be no begrudging them whatsoever. It's got nothing to do with anything. Could have just as easily been our government or another government.
Exactly.
You would hold that government responsible, not their people.
Exactly. And they had an outbreak just like us. They had the pandemic just like us. So they had people, we don't know the extent there because we don't know a lot that goes on there. But, they lost people too. So you can't really... It's the government. It's the communist government.
Which is the big problem because, and that's what I would say is first priority is whatever it is, you've got to get China on board because you got to find out what happened. And they loved a cover up. They're not exactly ones to be open and sharing with the rest of the world, which is a very, very bad thing. A very, very bad thing. But I still, and you can call me naive, I still don't think that this was used in any sort of I don't think this was the intention.
No, I don't think it was. It was used to, like, I hate saying it, but put out to kill
as a weapon,
or as a weapon, or to stop with the population because no, I think it was just. As they're saying, these 3 scientists went to the hospital, I think that there was just a lack of, like, a protocol or not anything keep to it. And that's how. Because if those people had it and then they went to the hospital and then they gave it to people in the hospital, and then it gets spreads and who knows? I mean, like, we know our hospitals are great. Like, some. But, who knows what theirs are really like? So who knows? It's one little cough near someone, and like they said, it's airborne.
Well, plus they were dealing with such a new thing. I mean, it's not like, it's not
Yeah.
like this comes with a manual. Like, we now know a year and a half's worth of information. They didn't know that then. They had no
No.
idea. So,
No.
but that's the point. Like, that's why we need to know and get to the bottom of it, so that not them, us, or any other country makes this sort of similar mistake in the future. But again, I akin to an airplane crash. Everybody goes, "Oh, now it's the safest time to fly because everybody's on the top of their game, checking, double checking everything." It's the same thing. I don't think we have another one of these because we kind of will be able to know and see the signs. And I think that if something were like this were to happen again, an immediate shutdown would happen everywhere, like, or in the country it's in. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And then like, let's check and see what's what. Because again, who knows what would have happened if we would have stopped travel from everywhere the second this really started to percolate in China. I can remember hearing about this
Yeah.
and it being such a little story and a world news story, not a local news story, because it was in China and all this. But I remember when the doctor who discovered it died, I was like, this is a bad thing, because if the guy, it got him too, this is bad. And again, that goes to my point of, if you're going to release a weapon to the world, you don't want it to wipe out your people as well. And that's clearly what happened here. So,
Yeah.
Speaking of wiping out, Ellen is giving up her show. We knew that. She's got a couple more years to finish up the contract. No surprise on the takeover. Did you see the story? You know who's taking over for her?
Kelly Clarkson.
Kelly Clarkson. And you know who couldn't be more excited?
Who?
Kelly Clarkson's soon-to-be ex-husband, who is, I'm sure, redrafting his list of demands on what he wants for that spousal support.
Doesn't he have money?
He's got money. He was asking for some crazy, like, $100,000 a week, insane shit demands. But now he's like, screw that. She's getting Ellen money. I want more. I want 100% more money.
I like Kelly Clarkson. I know she annoys some people, but I like her.
Yeah, I don't really watch the show. Have you ever really watched the show, or like more than
I've seen her show sometimes.
Yeah.
I've seen little things here and there. I like her. I think she's more relatable than Ellen. Ellen just looks annoying.
Yeah. I will say, though, Ellen's a comic, so I always root for the comic because they know how to be funny. I don't know if that's really Kelly Clarkson's thing. Not to say that she can't hire.
She's really relatable because she's like a mom.
Yeah.
And she talks about that a lot. And she talks about drinking. And I'm all, I'm all for that.
And she's a good performer. She's funny. She could be like, she can hire comics to write stuff for her.
Yeah. And she talks about food and she likes food. And, I just like that.
It's kind of crazy because it's kind of like Fallon 2.0. It's like Fallon Strikes Again. It's like this huge feud between Leno and Conan happened for years and years and years. And then all of a sudden, Jimmy Fallon slides right into the Tonight Show. And it's kind of the same thing here, where it's like all this stuff with Ellen. She kind of came up and took that Oprah spot when Oprah left and kind of became the number one, talk show person. And Kelly Clarkson, who started like really 5 minutes ago, is going to just slide right into that massive slot.
Yeah.
But it's a good move because it's like, who the hell else are you going to really get to who's got that sort of, experience,
Experience and likability.
Yeah. And that's a huge part of that, because you just have to be likable to appeal to that sort of audience,
Yeah.
Because that's what people want at 3:00 in the afternoon. They don't want they want somebody they like, they want somebody easygoing. They want somebody likable, basically. So congrats to Kelly Clarkson. I guess the story now sort of turns to who takes her spot. And that's going to be the next big watch moment. Speaking of big watch moments, and this is why I tell everybody not to get upset about the Wuhan lab and Biden and Trump and all this stuff. It doesn't matter because we're all going to lose to the bees anyway. They're taking over. We have actual footage. Credit Rex Chapman on Twitter for this, of a couple of bees figuring out how to open a bottle of soda. These two bees legitimately tag teamed this bottle of soda and got the cap off so that they can go in there and take a sip. Here's the clip. I'll show it to you right here. Here it is. There's the two bees. You could see one on either side of the cap, and they slowly twist the cap. They're working it, and whoop, there it goes. There it goes.
Listen, worker bees. Isn't that what they call bees sometimes? Worker bees? Look at them.
No.
Look at the
shit.
smell from these. Look at them.
Like, they legitimately worked together to twist open the cap of a bottle of soda.
These are bees. Your daughter still can't open a bottle of water when I loosen the cap. And these two bees just opened the cap of a soda. I give up.
Excellent point. A human 3-year-old can't do what these two bees just figured out what to do. That's insane. This is like that first moment when Boston Mechanics or whatever that company is, they showed that video of the robot going up to the doorknob and twisting the doorknob open. And I just had you had that moment of like, oh shit, it's fucking over. Like, when they fucking figure it out, we're done. It's the same moment. The bees and the robots were going to take us out.
I'm scared of bees.
Yeah.
Wow. That's pretty awesome.
I'm at the point now where I am not afraid of aliens. Like, I think our only hope against the bees and the robots are the aliens. Like, they're going to be the only ones that can save us from the bees and the robots.
Them with open arms.
For real. For reals. All right.
They take me back to their planet. I think I'm pretty cool. I would like to go see a different planet, get away from you.
Well, this is a good question. Oh, I never moved the thing. This is a good question. Would you rather be under alien control here on Earth, or would you rather them take you back to their planet and you're just surrounded by nothing but aliens?
No, I just want to go see their place, have a little vacation and then come back.
You also bring up another good point. Who's to say the aliens won't enjoy us? Like, what if they're like, we can't take over these people. They're so wonderful. They're lovely.
I really think that aliens are just staying away from us because they can't stand us, because we're just we suck as people, as humans. They're like, oh, I'm not gonna fuck with them. They're assholes.
Yeah, but I also think, again, we could be quite appealing to them, because they'll be like, oh, look at that nice charcuterie board. Perhaps we shouldn't enslave
That's
these earthlings,
true.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they'd be like, oh, they turned the prosciutto into roses. How lovely is that? We can't.
Wow. That is pretty awesome. There are some really good things, but I still think they don't want to come near us.
Yeah. No. Well, we're still getting over that COVID thing too. They probably don't want to have
Yeah, they're like, ugh, they
yeah.
skeeve us.
Yeah. Totally. Absolutely.
These dirty people don't wash their hands.
All right, we'll leave it there. Appreciate you guys watching and or listening. Remember to grab some swag over there in the Anthony On Air store. ShopAnthonyOnAir.com can get you there, or you can go from our website, AnthonyOnAir.com. Got some awesome stuff like that. That's What She Said shirt. Ladies have been loving and buying up the wine glass shirt right there. We've got, of course, the coffee cup shirt as well. If you got a coffee lover in your life, people love the simple designs that we have. And even if they don't really love the podcast, they kind of tend to gravitate towards the shirt. Any shirt you buy goes ahead and supports the pod. So check it out at ShopAnthonyOnAir.com. Appreciate you guys. Cuddles, thank you for filling in.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
Yes.
Now I have to hold.
I will say, honestly, I love you more than the two regular other co-hosts that are here.
Hey, I love you too. But I love J Sabs and I love Uncle Frankie, or Frankie C.
Well, there's a lot of speculation that Frank's on heroin. And
I don't know.
I'm not going to comment on it. Like, again, I can't say that he's not a heroin addict.
Okay.
but it feels like a lot of people on in the comments lately, especially last episode, a lot of accusations that he's on that heron, as they like to say.
How has he been friends with you for so long?
I'm just saying. There it is right there. You can see. Is Frank on heroin? He keeps wiping his nose. Oh, wait. I'm sorry. Hold on. I'm still on the... Boy, am I having a good off day today. There you go, everybody.
It's allergy season. Do they know what the... Do they want to come and see my truck outside? The pollen?
Well, I mean...
Like, these people...
That's what most junkies would say, you know?
What? It's allergies?
Yeah. I mean, if you had a heroin problem, that's what you would say. So, I don't know if he's off copping somewhere or... I don't know. I haven't...
Don't talk bad about Uncle Frankie.
He deserves a little bit of it.
No. Oh, God. I hope...
He's missed and loved. So is J Sabs.
Love you, J Sab.
All right, appreciate you guys. J Sabs, we love J Sabs a little bit more than Frank, though. Feels like I'm just trying to stir up shit between the two of them. Ignore me.
Shit star.
Ignore me. Appreciate you guys. AnthonyDana.com. All the links and info. Thank you so much, and we will catch you on the next episode.
Bye, everybody.